Hi everybody, I'm Larry Threadgill. This is Ríðar Wyrd. We're doing our Havamal study again. This time we are on Stanza 19. We're still in the don't drink and drive type stuff, but we're having fun with it. So today we will introduce ourselves and we'll start in on it. Go for it.
I'm Cynthia King. I'm Ríðar Wyrd's webmaster.
I'm Nelson Young. I'm the elder of Vice President Ríðar Wyrd.
I'm Melanie. I don't know these people. I don't know where I am. Just kidding. My husband and I are members now, officially, I guess.
Yay!
And we're just here for some Viking fun.
Good evening. I'm Cameron Nardini. As Melanie mentioned, I'm her husband and here to do some Havamal study.
Okay.
Yay!
So we may squirrel quite a bit, but that's okay because it's what we do. So stanza 19. Keep not the mead cup, but drink thy measure. Speak needful words or none. None shall upbraid thee for lack of breeding, if soon thou seekest thy rest. Translated by Bray. Next.
Do we go in order? Or?
It doesn't matter. Just
Well, you have
somebody.
Thorpe, right? So,
Yes. So I was gonna say
Yeah.
this translation here probably makes it a bit plainer English.
Yeah.
It says, let a man hold the cup, yet of the mead drink moderately. Speak sensibly or be silent. As of the fault, no man will admonish thee if thou goest to bed early.
A man should not refrain from the cup, though he drink mead in the hop. Let him say what is needful, or be silent. No man shall call you ignorant if you go to bed early.
Shun not the mead, but drink in measure. Speak to the point, or be still. For rudeness none shall rightly blame thee, if soon thy bed thou seekest. And that's Bellows.
So what do you guys get from this? I'm gonna put you on the spot.
Okay. Well, basically what I take from it is that, it's okay to enjoy some alcoholic beverage as long as it's not too crazy and, as a default, you shouldn't feel ashamed if you're going to call it an early night, better safe than sorry. Like, nobody is going to criticize you for being responsible.
Right.
Okay. Anybody want to?
I had a friend that used to invite everyone over to his house for parties, and everyone would get drunk, and by 10 o'clock he'd be done. So he'd go upstairs and go to bed while everyone else was still downstairs. And he did this on a regular basis. So there was a time when we kind of pulled him aside and was like, hey, why do you keep inviting us all over your house, then you go to bed? Well, it's either I go to bed or I make a fool out of myself. So I go to bed.
And that goes with the speak to the point or be still.
Right.
Or speak sensibly or be silent.
Right.
It reminds me of a more common saying that we probably know, which goes something to the effect of, it's better to keep your mouth shut and have people assume you're a fool than to open your mouth and have people know you're a fool.
Yeah.
Right.
So if you're not sure that you're going to say something worthwhile, better just to sit back.
Don't have foot and mouth syndrome.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I think one of the things that I've heard you mention before is that in their culture, when you say something, you have to be damn sure that you know it's accurate or so.
So honestly, okay.
Like
so that saying that you have
I did say that.
is actually in the Havamal.
Oh.
Let me see. It is. We've actually done this one recently within the last year, if that's considered recently.
More or less.
So
Is
I'm
it
looking really
17? Maybe. To him.
17. It sounds similar, yeah.
right.
There are so many that are.
Of that same thought process.
My dad used to say that to me all the time.
Right. So, I mean, basically, it's saying a lot of the Havamal does say what he's done. He's done stupid shit while drinking. He's done smart things while drinking. He's also talked about liquid courage in one of the last, I think it's 3 stanzas ago. So I think it's 16 or 15, I believe, maybe, where he says it's okay to take a drink to fill your courage up or something like along those lines. I can't quote it directly without looking back through the page because I'm that guy. don't have
I
that.
think it's
photographic.
17.
17.
A
Yeah.
fool gapes when to a house he comes, to himself mutters or is silent, but all at once if he gets a drink, then the man's mind is displayed.
Right.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that's, to me, that's liquid courage.
Mhm.
Right.
Which can be a full night of drinking or just a quick shot to go do what you gotta do. But in this, it's like a social gathering, like
Mhm.
us gathering here.
Mhm.
It's okay to have a beer or two until you get to the point where you don't make any sense.
Yes.
You're slurring your speech and you're acting like a fool.
He's spilling beer on
Microwave.
recess.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, but that was pre-alcoholic beverage.
Right.
So
Don't get
post-alcoholic.
sloppy.
Right. So it's easy. It makes more sense for you to go seek out your own bed than have your buddies drag you kicking and screaming and then
Mhm.
drawing stuff on your
Absolutely.
face all night.
So
when
it's
you
all about
pass
knowing
out.
your own
Yeah.
limits, knowing yourself, to
Yes.
know
Yeah.
when you.
Well, and it kind of touches on
Absolutely.
other things that we've talked about too, like how people can take advantage of you without you knowing when you're in such a state, or
Right.
how
Right.
you're not. You may say something like the whole hospitality thing that was in the very first couple of stanzas. Like,
Mhm.
if you're going over to someone's house and you're super duper wasted and falling all over the place, I don't know if some people would consider that being a good guest or a
Well,
good host.
We've all heard the stories where someone took a magic marker and wrote male genitalia on someone's face while they passed out drunk.
Yeah,
Let's not be that guy.
Mhm.
that
Don't be
either
the-
of the two actually.
right.
Let's not be that.
And by guy, I mean not gender specific. So,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's pretty. It's common sense. It's just a. Don't be stupid all the time. I mean,
Right.
know your limits. If you're the guy who's like, okay, look, guys, I'm drunk. I have to go to
Mhm.
bed.
Mhm.
I gotta go.
Well, and I think for people who are kind of wondering why we keep touching on mead and not drinking to excess and like moderation is like usually so coming from a Christian background, right, whenever something was reiterated, it was because it was either learned over and over and over again the hard way or because it was super duper duper important. So if this is like advice from Odin, right, then maybe he had to learn the hard way more than a couple of times, and that's why
Yeah.
he's like,
well, and that goes.
come on, guys, like, pay attention to what I'm saying.
And that goes back to what my grandpa used to tell me all the time. A very wise man learns from other people's mistakes. An average man learns from his own, and a dumbass never learns. Don't be the
Yeah.
dumbass.
Right.
And Odin is very much in the same way of thinking.
Mhm.
Well, and I think it's important to also remember that Odin gave us more than the runes. I mean, he
Oh,
was
yes.
called the Wanderer
Right.
Yeah.
for a reason,
Right.
and here he is going, hey, look, I did this. You don't have to do this, take a word of advice here.
Right.
Right.
And, the other key is it's saying moderation, or at least know your limits. It's not saying don't do it.
It's not
Right.
a sin.
Right.
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 Yes.
Correct.
Right. It's whatever. Just don't be a fool.
So, here's a question though.
Sure.
If you
I'll think about
are the host, so we're gonna flip it real quick.
Sure.
If you're the hostess with the
Right.
mostest,
If you're the host and you're hosting a gathering or a thing or
and often.
a plan or just having people over for a festival or anything else, and there's that one person that's lost off of their butt. As a host,
What do
you
you do?
feel responsible for them,
Mhm.
or at least you kind of do.
You pick them up by their britches and you go take them to lay down.
I was about to say,
Right.
throw down some hay and
Right.
tell them go to sleep.
Right.
Mhm.
A spare
Or dunk them in
room,
water.
a couch,
Just
what
like-
have you.
And
You put them there.
A sweater on the floor,
yeah,
It doesn't matter.
Speaking from experience.
probably. Yeah. I'm sure we all have some personal examples of failings
Sure.
that we can relate.
I slept at a German train station
Mhm.
I did
Overnight.
not do that.
because I was drunk off my rocker and I couldn't remember anything.
Yeah.
I couldn't even tell you what train to take. I seen the train station and was like, well, when I wake up, I'll know where I'm supposed to go. I went to sleep.
Well,
Which in Germany, the crime rate's pretty low, so I was safe. But in New York, don't do that.
No.
Don't do that.
Probably even in Tacoma Station. Don't do that.
but even as a host, if someone walked up and was like, "Dude, I'm really, really drunk. I need a cab and to go home.
Oh yeah.
I wouldn't feel bad about that.
Props to that guy.
Mhm.
The problem is most of the time they don't.
They don't
They
have
just
limits.
get in the moment and they're like, oh, I'm
Well-
super plastered. That means I should drink more.
Right.
And that's why a modern technology, the Uber,
Yep.
you can do it for them. You know,
Right.
take their keys away. You can order an Uber for them and tell them they can come back tomorrow and pick up their car, or you go pick them up and bring them back to your place to pick up their car.
Correct.
And I usually just tell people, like, you know, if I'm
Just
hosting, just crash here.
Yeah,
We
it's
have
fair.
couches, we have a guest room. Like, I'd rather that happen than them.
You try to drive.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Absolutely.
So if you look at it from both sides, from the guest, from the host, as a guest and as a host, don't be afraid to stand up and say, hey, look, I'm at my limit. I got to go to bed.
Yeah.
Somehow, some way.
Mhm.
And if it goes both ways. If you're a host, you can be considered a bad host by getting somebody killed.
Mhm.
Go ahead.
I'll say it's interesting though, like in the example of the host going to bed at 10 p.m.
Sure.
It has to be with people you really trust that they're not going to destroy your house when you go
Right.
to bed early.
Right.
So if you are the host, you need to apply this even more to yourself to take it easy because you need to make sure everyone else at your house is okay and that
And
you
you're not
can
Right.
going to take advantage of you.
and take advantage or just unintentionally,
Yeah.
cause a problem.
If you're the host and you're the one that's wasted out of their mind, then everyone's taking care of you and you're not hosting anymore.
Yeah.
Yes. Personal experience. So, I had a bloat I held at my home in Hawaii.
Mhm.
I got pretty drunk. In fact, I think I drank 7 or 8 liters of mead by myself.
There you go.
I was rather drunk. So at the end of the night, I ended up soaking wet in my backyard in nothing but my boxers. 5 of us were bleeding. There was barefoot, bloody prints everywhere, and there was mud and dirt all over my house. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Don't be that.
And your
Stay
wife
sober
let you
enough.
survive.
Stay sober enough that your wife doesn't have to go and pick up after your drunk ass. I speak from experience because this is bad. As friends, as guests, as hosts, we need to have a responsibility for those we invite over and those who come over.
So stanza 14. I was drunk and drunk.
Oh, drunk and drunk.
Yes.
I was so drunk
So-
I couldn't move from my bed without her.
Yeah.
Also, just food for thought. If you do get super drunk and you Uber home and you throw up in the back of an Uber, it's like you have to pay $200 to get there.
Their vehicle clean. Yep.
Oh, you
So
do?
just saying. Yeah.
Well,
Nobody wants that $200 fine.
Nope.
So get sloppy.
don't get sloppy.
So there it is.
I love that.
So this is gonna sound weird. Is there any spiritual thought you can think of towards this track? Towards this stanza?
I think the whole going to bed early thing, maybe not spiritual, but could definitely be a little more philosophical. You don't have to apply it just to drinking. Just like in your daily life, going back to what Benjamin Franklin says about,
Mhm.
I forget the saying, but saying the hard workers, the people who are going to be successful, are going to get up early. It's not saying you have to wake up at 5 a.m. and go to bed early every day, but you want to always kind of maintain that forward momentum and, the productivity
jump.
throughout your life.
Well, and I also think one of the cool parts of the stanza could be applied to anything in general. It's the speak to the point or be still.
Yes.
Like have something to say when you open your mouth or don't.
There is a sort of
'Cause what-
spiritual drunkenness. It's a lot like being power drunk
Mhm.
or drunk with power.
Mhm.
And you can do that spiritually as well. And
Absolutely.
so it actually does very much apply spiritually if you think about it in terms like that.
Sure.
There's plenty
Well,
of
and
people who
when
talk
you're-
spiritual nonsense and they think they're saying something wise.
Yeah.
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 Be quiet.
A lot of people too, when they are drunk with power, it's the same thing as being regularly drunk. People can take advantage.
Right.
People can manipulate and use you
Right.
Right.
for your power.
Absolutely. Like asking someone for their advice, even though you don't give a shit, just to make them feel happy so they'll sign your fucking paper.
Yeah.
If
Okay. Well,
you're watching, you know my trick.
okay. Anybody else? Okay. Well, that is stanza 19. Yep. So make sure to do the whole. Yeah, we'll do the little dance.
There's a
Make
dance.
sure to do. Yeah, there's a dance.
You make two fists
You
and you go from
Okay.
side to side.
Make sure you like and share and subscribe and
Hit the bell for notifications.
right.
Yep.
But mostly make a comment. We want to know what. To be bluntly, I want to know what the hell you people think, and they want to know what you think because
Yes.
we don't know what you think if you're not telling us what you think.
So tell us.
Right. Thanks. Bye.
Hail the
Skull.
gods.